early.
Yeah.
She didn't last year, though. And that threw me the frick off, and we were drafting by each other, and it really did mess with my draft.
Yeah.
So in this Fly on the Wall Fireside Chat, we're going to talk about ADP, and we're going to have a conversation amongst ourselves. Again, don't forget, go down to the comment section, be a part of the conversation. But we're going to allow you in on our thoughts, the processes that we have. Specifically in this video, we're going to talk about ADP, and we're going to dive right in. So my argument is I don't use ADP to determine my picks very often. I don't really care. This is no offense. I don't mean to come across rude, but I don't really care what other people think. I care what I think. I'm drafting my team. I'm not drafting just based upon what everybody else thinks. But it is good to know what other people are thinking. And that's my argument. So we do our own rankings here on FFB from the 50, but at the same time, I will go out and I'll buy a magazine. Now, I don't really like to buy a magazine early in the year because we got no news from training camps. We don't have any of those reports. Even if you do get a magazine later in the year, it's still not going to be complete because they have to have those out and cut, published, printed, and shipped when there's still new information coming in. I do enjoy the ones online. I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. We can talk about those if you want to, but for me, I don't really care what other people think as far as value goes, but it is good to know if I may be able to wait a round or two to grab a guy. So there might be a guy that I have a 5th round grade on, but I might still be able to get him in the 9th round. And I'm going to use, I keep going back to this on this channel year after year, but Arian Foster in his rookie season, I actually had a 5th round draft grade on him, but I drafted him in the 9th round after Steve Slayton, after Ben Tate, because I knew those guys were going to go. I knew roughly when they were going to go, and I knew that I could get the guy I wanted out of that backfield much later. So I use ADP to determine value, but again, it's not what everybody else's value. It's where are they valuing compared to me.
Yeah.
So can you guys see any areas that might get me in trouble, or is that kind of how you do it as well?
That's how I do it as well. Self-analysis. Now you do it more in depth than I do. I mean, I do cheat on the ADP quite a bit, but there are certain guys on it that I just mark off right away because they've never proven themselves, and they're, I like to look at I like to draft guys that have already proven themselves.
Yep, agreed.
Not to give away my
I think my philosophy is very much along with Dan's. I like to hew towards ADP. It's not the end all be all, but all ADP is a conglomeration of everyone's opinions. Now, obviously not everyone's opinions are the same, but to be a little contrarian here, we all think we know more than the average fantasy football drafter. Yeah. But the problem with that, like markets in general, is that often, sometimes you can beat the market, but you have to have metrics that have to be able to allow you to evaluate the market and identify the value. And oftentimes we're not very good at that. And especially in these things where you have situations where trying to decipher what a running back situation looks like, or a running back committee, who's getting the 3rd down touches, who's getting 1st and 2nd down, who's getting the goal line looks, and every team has those kind of situations that they've got to get filtered out. And I like using ADP as a general indicator of which of the direction that someone's going. And sometimes if I'm off, like if I'm a lot higher on a guy than ADP, maybe I'm smarter than the market in general. But oftentimes when we get to those places, we're often overthinking things, because by the time you have best ball drafts, and people have been thinking about this stuff for 6 months.
That's true. Yeah.
There's a good amount of this information by the time you get to August and September. A lot of this information is baked into these rankings. So, the fact that Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson are splitting a backfield, by the time you get to July or August, especially once you get through training camps, a couple of preseason games, like the market's it's taken in a lot of this data. So the ADP that's adjusted over time is a pretty good reflection of where they actually end up. Maybe it's wrong within by the time you get to, let's say, a wide receiver 50, maybe they're off by 10 spots. But in the grand scheme of things, the difference between wide receiver 40 and the wide receiver 50, not that much, right? And so, like, sometimes, I mean, we all think we have certain edges in ADP in relation to other people and other styles, but I think ADP is a good indicator worthy of consideration.
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess that you brought up a point here, which I have another issue with ADP is it's rear-sided. So ADP is average draft position, and throw the magazines out because that's just those are rankings. That's not ADP. But you look at PFF, you look at Yahoo, you look at ESPN, you look at any of these places, and you're looking at the ADP, but you got 6 months baked into that. But I'm only interested in what's happened in the last week of training camp.
Yeah.
So the big issue with ADP, if you're solely relying on ADP, is it's rear-sided.
Yeah.
But it's not just rear-sided for the last week or the last 2 weeks. So some of that stuff that you're talking about that's baked in is old information that's no longer valid.
You don't want the March data.
Exactly.
You don't want the May data.
But in our draft is what day or what?
We're on August 9th this year.
So if I download this on August 7th and it's been updated August 7th,
it's still going to have all the data going back from where the people were drafting even prior to the NFL draft.
Yes.
Really.
And some of that, and some of, I shouldn't say some, a lot of that early ADP data is bupkis. It is bad. It is bad. Like if I don't have a particular number off the top of my head, but if you were to look at ADP for Justin Fields in March, and you were to look at him where he's being drafted at now, let's say a rolling average in the last month, he's going way higher ADP in relation to the rest of the quarterback group than he was in March.
100% agreed, and that brings up another great point here too. I wish so. Some of the better websites, they keep updating. It's not like okay, this is where it was based upon back in March, April, or May. They keep updating it. But what I wish that they would do, if you want to get a really good view at what the market is thinking, with the best up-to-date information, I wish, and I hope that they're listening out there. This is something they could pick up on. That there would be a filter where you can look at ADP all you want, but you could also narrow down what is just the ADP in the last week or the last 2 weeks. Because I guarantee you, they're taking the new information. So let's use Justin Fields. Let's say his ADP was 100. And by August 8th, his ADP is 80. But if you only look at that last week, his ADP might be 40.
Yep.
That's a huge difference. That's a big swing.
Yeah.
And the problem is you only have this small of a sample size, and it's only going to adjust something this big by this much, when this is the reality.
Totally agree, and that's why I think it's a good indicator of directional movement more so than a precision indicator. It really is just a directional indicator. I mean, and it can't be an end all be all.
So what I do like is there are some websites out there that will give you a trending.
Yeah.
And if a player is trending up or down, I'm not just going to take for granted that hey they're 40 but they're trending up. Why are they trending up? And another valuable tool with ADP that you can use as well is, let's say you do have that, because we all think we're the smartest people in the room, but let's say that you are much higher or much lower. Could go either way on a certain player than everybody else. If there's a player that I've got ranked in my top 20 and everybody else has them at number 40. What am I seeing that they're not seeing? But more importantly, because self-reflection is important, what are they seeing that I'm not? Mm-hmm. At some point, we have to kind of, stifle down that humility and just be like, okay, I'm seeing this, the market's seeing this, and that's why I do listen to the radio stations. I seek out other people's opinion because maybe somebody's thought of something I haven't. But whenever you see that, like even if you're much lower on a player, like, we talked in one of our video series, you guys made the bet on Jamison Williams and Cooper Kupp. Why are you not higher? Let's say that you got, you're ranking him as number 350 and everybody else has him as 200. What's causing the difference? Or vice versa, I've got players this year that I'm pretty high on. I'll just be honest with you. I think Travion Henderson's going to be the starter in New England. But if you look at ADP, that would say that. But I think what we're going to see is that gap is going to shrink. The other thing is without using that current up-to-date information, Judkins is being taken way above Jerome Ford, but Judkins just got arrested on domestic battery charge.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So how is that going to play into it? So the one area where relying on ADP could also get you in trouble is if you're in a private league. So again, this has nothing to do with public leagues because you don't know your competition in public leagues. But in a private league, I would say that knowing players that you're playing against, knowing your competition is more important than ADP. Again, still valuable to know, but if you rely on that to try to figure out what they're going to do, you're probably wrong. Getting to know those people is a more valuable indicator of, hey, I got to take this guy now, or I can wait around.
Yeah.
I'm going to use Teresa because she's been on this channel, and we all know her tendencies, but she got me in trouble last year because Teresa normally is very high on that tight end. She's another one of those fantasy players that understands the positional premium that exists at tight end. And we were drafting right by each other in the draft. And I purposely waited on a player thinking that I could get them because she was going to take tight end and I'd be able to get them. And then she took my player and punted on tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's valuable to know it's not the be-all, end-all.
Yeah.
It certainly acts as an indicator of, okay, this guy's really standing out to me. Like, I've got this guy ranked way better, way worse. Okay, what's going on? What am I not seeing? Or what are they seeing that I'm not, vice versa? Or is this a guy that really I do, and I am going to say, I'm high on this guy. I'm full of conviction on this, and I'm going to wait because I want this guy, but I can wait to get him. ADP is important. It's just not the be-all, end-all.
Yeah.
But it is important to know because it can be used as a predictor.
I agree.
Well, oftentimes it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy too, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're on
Yeah.
the ESPN fantasy football or like Yahoo, where you can follow, the list. Depending on who you're playing with, oftentimes that list is being followed relatively, like you said, within 5 to 10 picks. I mean, it's being followed pretty close.
Well, and one thing too is like all ADP is a function of new developments. So if you can get ahead of the new developments, you can beat ADP. So like, for instance, when we're drafting, if you're not checking Bleacher Report, the Score, whatever your preferred sports app is, when you make a pick, right? You're in the middle of training camp, and you're about to take Andrew Luck with the first pick, and then you find out, oh my God.
That literally happened, Patrick, in the middle of one of my drafts right after he got taken. It wasn't 10 minutes after his draft, he was drafted, that he announced his retirement. That happened at one of my leagues during the draft.
Wow. But I mean, I mean that set the stage for like you have to check these. Like you're checking for injury updates. You're checking for contract situations. Like before you draft these guys, especially those guys with premium picks.
Of course.
You've got to have not only an understanding of their ADP, the positional value, the people that are in your league and their tendencies. But you gotta have those. They gotta have Twitter up, man.
Mm-hmm. It'd be fascinating. All those things included, it'd be fascinating. Now, the league we're in, people are pretty advanced. But if you had a jumbled up list with no numbers next to it, and you pick it on the board of just running backs, receivers, and you don't know how it comes in. Now we know relatively what order, but if you did it to everybody and seeing how people actually pick,
rather than using ADP
there are no numbers. There are no numbers assigned to them.
It would be interesting to see how much different it would look.
Yeah.
Just
put them in alphabetical order. Running backs, quarterbacks. Alphabetical order. Running backs, quarterbacks, and nobody's allowed to bring any papers. Nobody's allowed to bring any except for that one sheet.
Wow.
It'd be really interesting to see.
That's a great thought experiment, Joe.
Yeah.
I do agree. It does create a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, you got a good point with that.
And honestly, I feel like I've been playing fantasy football for, oh my gosh, we're almost at 2 decades. 2 full decades of me playing fantasy football. we walked in, and when we walked in back in the old days, we walked in with printouts of last year's stats.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we drafted off.
And that was it.
It was very different. I mean, you had a few magazines out there, but the magazines were not what they are today.
Yeah.
And then I feel like there for a while, people got over-dependent upon magazines based upon old information that wasn't valid before camp. I mean, because some of those, the first, and I know this because we go on family vacation every year the last week of June. The first magazines come out that Tuesday of the first week of June.
They're ancient.
Or the last week of June. Camps are a month away.
They just wrapped up rookie mini camps. I mean, they haven't even started training camps.
Shadir at that time was the starter
at Colorado.
Yeah, and you know that if they're publishing them then yeah, they probably were printed right after the draft.
Yeah,
they probably have everything stacked, and all they're waiting for is the NFL draft to slide those players in where they go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like for instance, this depth chart has Dylan Gabriel as QB1 and Shedeur Sanders as QB2. If I were to if I were to sideline, or I shouldn't say sideline, if I were to guess the current depth chart, it's probably Joe Flacco 1, Kenny Pickett or Dylan Gabriel 2, whichever one of those two would be third, and then Sanders would be fourth. And so, like,
well, let's be perfectly honest.
He might be left out.
I think he makes the roster, but
think he makes the roster?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the NFL's changed things now. Where I think you can have a third quarterback on your practice squad that you can keep that teams can pluck.
Are they cutting the big money guy? They cutting the one from the $250 million guaranteed.
No, Watson's still guaranteed.
So that's a spot.
Well, he's on IR for the whole
season. He's going to
get for the entire season. He's going to be IR.
He's IR for the season.
So they picked up Kenny Pickett. Is Kenny Pickett getting left? Is he getting cut?
He might. I mean, I only see 3 quarterbacks on this roster. I doubt it.
Gabriel's not getting cut.
Probably not. I can't imagine you cut a third-round pick.
You're not cutting Gabriel.
Unless he goes in there and stinks it up, then why'd you draft him in the first place?
Well, and then Sanders had that issue, too, with the speeding.
Yeah.
Where it was going 100 and like a 60 or something like that.
I could see Kenny Pickett I could see Kenny Pickett. Well, yeah, if he got caught, he's definitely doing it more than.
Well, he got caught the one time.
They let him off.
It wasn't made public, and then he got caught a second time just weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's not
Kenny Pickett's probably on the out then.
My guess probably. I mean, maybe Flacco. They're keeping both the young guys, and
they would get rid of Flacco.
If Pickett stands out, yes, but I just see no reason why to expect Pickett stands out.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a real simple argument. ADP is valuable, but not for the reasons that most people think.
Yeah.
It's more. I feel like ADP is a better tool for the Sharks than it is for the Minnows. It's built for the Minnows, but it benefits the Sharks.
Yeah.
All right. What do you guys think? Go down in the comment section. Let us know. Anything else, guys?
No.
All right. Good luck. We'll be back with the whole series of these videos prior to the fantasy drafts really kicking off. I'd say before the fantasy drafts, but I've already had my first one of the year, so we're not quite ahead of the curve. But all right. Until next time. See ya.